Now, Aaron, when Arthur Smith brought in Marcus Mariota, we knew that a lot of people assumed that he would be that bridge quarterback, and he would be the guy that kind of usher in the new Arthur Smith regime instead of going with a young quarterback and struggling. And they're trying to win some games. Terry Fontenot is trying to prove that, hey, he belongs as a general manager in this league. I know you don't believe that right now, but I know you're not quite on that bandwagon, but I'm standing on the street trying to hitch a ride. You know what I'm saying, to the bandwagon. Okay. I haven't jumped on it yet, but I'm standing on the street.
Okay.
You know I gotta mess with you now. You coming to the ATL Day was. I gotta get up. I gotta mess with you, my man. So Terry Fontenot has a lot to prove. Included to Aaron Freeman as well, the Falcons man, the Fal fan. You know what I'm saying? So I think those are some of the things that he thought about when they brought Marcus Mariota in. But after the game on Sunday, I thought Marcus was very truthful and as far as in his answer. He was being asked about how the game went and everything. He said, I have to hit my guys. I have to find my guys. But he said Kyle Pitts and Drake London were getting open, and he has to figure out a way to get them the football. And I think that was kind of interesting, right? Because I will never sit up here and act like I'm a Marcus Mariota fan, right? Or stan. I'm nowhere near those guys. But I always try to assess Marcus Mariota fairly and call him for what he is. And we talked about it on your show as well. But do you think that it can kind of get a little gray area sometimes when it comes to assessing when he's so truthful in how he plays the football game on Sundays?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the thing that everybody says about Marcus Mariota is he's such a good guy, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And like anytime there's been a mistake on the Falcons, he has taken ownership of that, and you want that in a leader, and I think that's a big reason why Arthur Smith is comfortable rolling with him, even as a so-called bridge quarterback. I know there's some people that don't agree with that assessment, but like I think for us, it's like, oh, he's a bridge quarterback, but maybe the bridge is a little longer than we initially thought it would be, right? And maybe that bridge leads us, to a wild card or a division crown this year. So I look at Marcus Mariota admitting his mistakes as a an indicator of sort of all those sort of intangible qualities that he brings to this football team, more so than the tangible qualities that we're seeing on the football field. Like, you and I have talked about it a ton this year. Like, we don't have high expectations for Marcus Mariota to go out there and, throw the ball 35 times and win with his arm or anything like that. We expect there are going to be missed throws in games that you're going to be like, man, if he could just hit this throw, everything would have been great. And then there's going to be plays that Marcus Mariota can only make, right? Like that one play he had to Tyler Algier, I think in the fourth quarter, I think it was, where he kind of ran around like multiple times. And then
I was like, throw the ball away. And he missed the guy. He made the guy miss, circle back out and threw the ball, lofted it to Tyler Algier. And he went down, for 40 some odd yards, like on the reception. So
like those are the things that Marcus Mariota.
You don't draw that type of stuff up, yeah.
So like when he does stuff like that, I'm like, okay, that's the good version of Marcus Mariota,
right?
And it's like if we can get more of that and less of the guy that's missing open receivers down the field, like there's not a whole lot to complain about, because you're not, at the end of the day, you're not being like, oh man, Marcus Mariota doesn't throw with peak efficiency and timing on these 7-yard slants and whatever. Like, that's not what you bring Marcus Mariota in to do. Right. You bring him in because the ability that he has with the run game, the ability, hopefully he can start hitting some of these deep balls so we can get these shot plays. And then the ability that he has extending plays and finding open receivers down the field and and handing the football off and having that leadership that we're talking about. And I think those are the things that Mariota brings to the table. So I look at his play on Sunday against the Chargers as like, it's kind of a typical Mariota game. It's the Mariota coaster. You got the highs, you got the lows. You're just going to ride this thing, and we'll see how long the Falcons continue to ride this thing and how far they get.
And that's a thing that Arthur Smith talked about in his post-game presser as well, just far as how, as a team, that's how they look. like kind of up and down. I always joke about being, the stock market, because sometimes you never know what you're going to get. Like one day it's going to be up, one day it's going to be down. And like you even look how it was so up in the first, then down in the second. And then it kind of started to creep back up in the third. And then it started to gradually rise in the fourth as well. And then it just dropped right back down in the fourth quarter. So those are some of the things that I believe a lot of times that's why it's so important for the type of guy that you have, under center, is that a lot of times, I always talk about how the head coach, the team takes on the identity of the head coach. Teams take on the identity of their quarterback as well. So I think that never say die, never quit attitude, that's Marcus Mariota. I believe that speaks to him. But there are some times where you're gonna have some, or what that play. I always say, man, what was that? Like that's just who he is. That's the type of guy he is. That's why I think sometimes for me in covering this guy, it may be a little hard sometimes to kind of be extra critical of him, but you have to do what you have to do when it comes to what I see. I have to do what I have to do when it comes to what I see. So I think a lot of people have to kind of continue to look at Marcus Mariota for what he is, and I think that on Sundays you won't be too upset when they lose games like this, because guess what? They're going to win games like this, and literally just happened the week prior in Mercedes-Benz against the Carolina Panthers, which is a team that they're going to have to face this Thursday coming up. And that quick turnaround, real quick before we move on, some quick thoughts as far as what you're thinking about as far as for the Carolina Panthers, because they just fired two position coaches, or the cornerbacks coach and the defensive line coach. Steve Wilks is trying to put a stamp on his team. Do you think this team is going to be looking to bounce back after getting embarrassed by the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, I expect the Panthers to play much better than they did against Cincinnati. Again, similar to the Falcons, like they're just not built to play with a team like Cincinnati.
Absolutely.
And the Falcons and Panthers are a pretty even match, right? Like you don't have high level quarterback play, what we're talking about with Mariota as well as PJ Walker. I know Sam Darnold's coming off of IR, but I don't assume that he'll start this week. They'll give him at least another week and let him come back after the mini bye after the Thursday night game.
Damn sure don't like it gonna be Baker. It's like Steve Wilks don't like Baker Mayfield.
they kept showing pictures of Baker Mayfield in the fourth quarter just being sad on the bench on television yesterday in that Bengals game, and I was just like, okay, like he's just upset, just anger, just staring off in the distance. So.
He said something to Steve Wilks, I promise. Or Steve Wilks is real cool with Hugh Jackson. He was like, yeah, Mother Blakey, you remember all that you were talking about Hugh? That's my boy. That's my dog. You about to feel this right now.
Yeah. So I think the Panthers Falcons is going to be an even matchup. It's going to be just like the game was 2 weeks ago, where it's going to come down to the final possession, and you just hope their kicker screws up like he did last time, and the Falcons can make a couple of plays. And Taquan Graham will hold on to the football when he recovers the loose fumble.
Absolutely, TQ, man. I'm with Taquan Graham, man. I'm with Arthur Smith. I was like, man, I can't really criticize that dude, man. It ain't like this man is Khalil Mack or somebody. Just go out there and just take the ball from somebody and just go the other way with it like ain't nothing happened. But it happens. We shall see. When the Falcons take on the Atlanta. They're not going to take on themselves. Carolina Panthers on Thursday night on the road. They are a 3-point favorite if you're in that type of stuff. But we want to say thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Why don't you go ahead and make Locked On Sports Today your second listen of the day? They have a lot of good stuff going on, and you're talking about from experts just going around the sports world, and they even have the take of the day. You can see who has the hottest take of the day and who has the best information. So go ahead and check out Locked On Sports Today. It's free and available wherever you download your podcast, wherever you download this podcast. Go out and check out Locked On Sports Today.